On. Joining us now, Jim Gilmore, former governor of Virginia, with us to talk about Trump's tax cuts and other goings-on. Rex Tillerson changing his tune on North Korea. We're going to get his input on that. Governor, Merry Christmas. Great to have you.
Merry Christmas, John. Pleasure to talk to your listeners, as always.
All right. So, Governor, this is the big week here. The big Trump tax cuts going down. I love this tax cut. I really do. $2,000 exemption per child. Your standard deduction doubles. Let me tell you, the other thing that's going to happen is right now 30% of Americans itemize, right? I guarantee you when this tax cut is done, filed, sealed, delivered, and in place, after a 2-year period, it might take people a little while to figure it out. But by a 2-year period, only about 8% of people are going to itemize because it's not going to make any sense, which means you can do your taxes in like 20 minutes and mail it in on a postcard. I think that's a good thing, isn't it?
Well, it sure is. It looks to me, first of all, this, for your listeners, this is a watershed moment for the United States. This is a really big move to have this tax cut or this tax reform put into place. And I think it does two things. That first of all, it does deliver some tax relief to the people in the middle class, people who have children, people who really want some new opportunities, and some more money back in their pockets. But there's a second thing that it's doing, it's intended to do, and that's to build up the economy. I've taken the position that our $19 trillion economy, which is the biggest in the world, needs to get to $25 trillion as quick as possible. That means growth, better opportunities, more jobs. It means that more investment by businesses. These tax cuts that are going to be on business activity are going to encourage investment. That means there's going to be more productivity, more people hired. That means the wages have to go up naturally. Not because some lawmaker someplace dictates it, but because naturally wages are going to go up. And that means more opportunities for more people, particularly the young people who are coming out of college. You know, by the way, John, I saw this morning that young people have been persuaded that the Trump policies are bad for them, and they're trying to vote for the left-wing candidates. Once they begin to see that the opportunities are beginning to come their way because of this tax reform, I think it's going to change the politics also. So I'm really pleased about this.
They just have to do the math because the Democrats are lying to them. If you're a millennial and you're making $60,000 or $70,000, and let's say you're working on the Hill in D.C. or in state government in Virginia, just somewhere, and you're making $60,000, immediately, I mean, as a single person and a millennial, you have no deductions, all right? So you're not itemizing. So immediately, your standard deduction doubles. So if you're making, let's say you're making $60,000, the first $12,000 you make is tax-free, right? So now you're being taxed on $48,000. Okay, you have no children, so you don't have that exemption, right? I get that. Now you're being taxed on $48,000. The first $20,000 of that, you're going to get a 10% tax on. All right, so just stay with me here and do the math. All right, so you're paying $10,000 on the first $20,000 you make. Okay, 10% of $20,000, $2,000. Right. So that leaves you got 48 minus 20 minus 12. So the difference is 28 minus 12 is 16. Then you're paying 12% on $4,000, which is about $480. So you're making $60,000 as a millennial, and your tax bill next year is going to be $2,480. And you can do your taxes in about the time that I just did them over the air. 30 seconds. Right?
Yeah, look, you're exactly
right. No brainer.
It's going to mean more dollars in the pockets of everybody that works, and that is a fact. But, you know, the really big message here is that you're going to build up the economy so much that a guy making $60,000 today is going to be making $75,000 here in a couple of years because of the way that the economy is going to go. Your employer is not going to be able to keep you at $60,000 because you're going to have other options, and therefore he's going to raise wages in order to keep you. That's really the way that the system works. It doesn't work that way in a slow-growing economy, though. And we've never been able to do anything to boost the economy while President Obama was in charge and the American left was in charge of the economy because they would veto anything that would move the country forward. They're happy with just trading money from one American to another. We people on the conservative side believe that you got to have more money, more revenue, more wealth, more opportunity, more growth. more of everything in order to improve the quality of lives and standard of living of people. And that's the political choice here. You either move forward with something exciting and dynamic, or you stay stagnant. And that's been the choice. And by the way, the Republican senators believe that all of you out there that aren't really moving forward, they want to keep you that way. And that's why they keep voting no to any kind of progressive reform here.
Well, look, and the fact that the Democrats all voted no on this thing, and they're just lying to you. I mean, they're just lying to you every day about what this tax cut is. We keep everybody that calls up, we just run the numbers. They all save money. All right, I'm going to get to a clip here of Governor Gilmore. Here is Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin on Sunday saying Americans are going to see tax cuts in their paychecks in February. They don't have to wait until April of 2019. They're going to see them in February.
On the top rate is going down. The president at one point said the wealthy won't be getting a tax cut. Now they will, as it drops from 39.6 to 37. Now that balances out the deduction in state and local, but only for those people who live in high state and local tax states. So again, to this question of priorities. Mark Sanford, Republican from South Carolina, said from a truth in advertising standpoint, it would have been a lot simpler if we just acknowledged reality on this bill, which is it's fundamentally a corporate tax reduction and restructuring bill, period. What's your response to that?
Not the case at all. Pass-throughs have the lowest rates they've ever had since the 1930s. That's a huge part of engine of growth of small and medium-sized businesses that are going to create lots of jobs. And this is about hardworking families that are going to see, starting in February, tax cuts. We're already working at the IRS to update the tax forms and update the tax charts, and they're going to see this in their paychecks in February.
Mark Sanford made an idiotic statement. I mean, the tax cuts, Governor, for corporations is to get U.S. corporations more competitive so the jobs stay in the United States. But to say that this is a corporate job, everybody in the middle income sphere is getting a tax cut. What are these people talking about?
Well, they're just wrong. Look, here's the thing. At my nonprofit, AmericanOpportunity.org, we've developed over years now the Growth Code, which recognizes that corporate America provides jobs, and people who are conducting individual businesses, and they therefore pass through their tax rate just to their normal 1040, is still engaged in business, still engaged in hiring people and making money. All business activity needs to be treated the same. And that means that we're in a position right now where we're going to actually give opportunities for tax cuts so that people can invest that money in their businesses and therefore be more productive, hire more people, and pay higher wages. I mean, that's got to be the promise of what we're trying to do. Otherwise, why do this? And the idea of the left that's saying that somehow that the conservatives and the Republicans are just trying to reward rich people is just nonsense. The ultimate goal here is to build up the economy and get it going again so that regular people, can have better opportunities. And furthermore, the tax deductions you're talking about, the doubling of the standard deduction and so on, those are direct benefits just to regular working people. So we're moving forward here. We got the votes. This is a big move for the Republicans, and it's a big move for the president, who's going to win something now very substantial for all Americans.
Well, that's why we're saying the big winner here is the American public. George in Newport News says, John, what is a pass-through? Okay, so I can explain this. If you own a small business, a sub-S or an LLC or a partnership, what a pass-through is, you're not taking a salary. Your company makes X dollars profit, and then that top-line profit that your company made becomes your income. So that's just transferred over to your personal income line, right? That's what you've made, right? That's your income after your revenue and expenses and everything. What the 20% pass-through means is that you're going to take that number and take 20% off it. So if your company made $100,000 in profit as an LLC or a partnership or a sole proprietorship, then you're only going to be paying taxes, personal taxes, on $80,000 because 20% comes off the tax. And what the thinking is with that is you're going to take that, you own a business, so you're going to take that 20%, you're going to buy equipment, you're going to invest it in growing your business so that you can grow the economy.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what
If I can add something, you're exactly right in what you just said. And the direct answer is that corporate America, a corporation that does its own tax return and pays its taxes as a corporation. But most people don't have corporations. They may have small corporations and so on, but they're conducting individual business as an individual or LLC or something like that. And then that money just, as you say, John, just goes right over to the 1040. That's a pass-through. So it's a business activity, but it just ends up being your personal revenue for tax purposes on your 1040. And the goal here is to encourage that business activity, whether it's as a corporation or whether it's a small business activity. The trick here, as you say, is to encourage more people to invest more and more opportunity to hire more people and increase wages.
Unbelievable. I tell you what, I think this is going to have such an impact, Governor, on the economy. What are the Democrats going to base their campaign on in 2018 when the economy is growing at 4%? People's kids in their basement are getting jobs and moving out, when wages are going up, when people are competing for workers. He's deregulating the economy. The president is, Governor Gilmore, at a breathtaking pace. What are the Democrats going to base their campaign on? Do you have any idea?
No, I think they're going to lose. But the main thing they're going to do is just try to continue to use the liberal media to lie, and just to say, well, this is, and to play the class warfare game, and to say that this is for somebody else, and people who are hurting out there will appeal to that, will succumb to that siren song of somehow that the big guys are beating them down or something like that. That's been the Democrats' game plan. And it's worked, by the way. It's worked in a lot of places, including in Virginia. And what we have to do is to continue to preach the gospel of truth, which is that we're trying to, in fact, get out there and help regular working people. Let me say this. The Republican Party of Virginia and the Republican Party of the United States must become the voice of working men and women. If we do that, we get back on the winning trail again. If we continue to talk about other things and resentments and crazy stuff, then we're going to lose. But if we become the voice of the advancement of regular working men and women, we will become winners again. And I think the President Trump's putting us on that path.
I think he is also. There's no question about it. But look, the Democrats are going to continue to lie about this, Governor, and the mainstream legacy media is right behind them on it. I tweeted this out Sunday. I live in Virginia Beach. I subscribe to the Virginia Pilot. And so they have a headline. Talk about the quintessential example of fake news, right? So their headline is, this is in the print edition of the Sunday Virginia Pilot, tax plans winners and losers. Major corporations and oil drillers benefit most. 13 million people could lose health insurance. The headline is a complete lie, right? And that's their headline. And it's done to manipulate public opinion in order to defeat this. Major corporations and oil drillers benefit them. This is a middle-class tax cut bigger than we've ever seen. And the fact that they got rid of the mandate for insurance, the tax, if people opt out of the system, how do they lose their insurance? They decided it's not worth it, and they would rather save the money and pay cash. Is that the most disingenuous headline, sir, that you've ever witnessed?
Well, on the healthcare side, our expectation is that the market at that point will respond. If people are able to keep their own money instead of being forced to pay it someplace else to the government, then they'll be able to buy a healthcare plan that's more appropriate for their situation, and that's the market ought to respond. As far as the investment goes, I don't care if it's oil drillers or cracker manufacturers. The goal here is to build up investment to increase productivity so that wages have to go up naturally. That's the objective. The alternative is just to stay with the status quo, which is stagnation. And what really is going on in the economy, John, that people just the left is unwilling to acknowledge, is that you got working men and women out there that aren't in good enough opportunities. College students coming out and delivering pizzas and living in their parents' cellars because they don't really have an opportunity to earn enough money to succeed. Our vision is to create a dynamic economy that really boosts up the things. And by the way, that's going to have national security implications, too. If we have more money, we can get this stupid sequester off the defense budget, and we can begin to be strong enough to be respected around the world again in order to protect liberty around the world and protect our interests around the world. We got to move forward. We have waited too long. And now it's not only become making people poorer in the United States, it's also creating a danger to our national security. We've got to move forward, and that's what I think this tax bill helps us do.
So now that we got this tax cut bill, looks like it's going to pass, and you think the economy is going to grow, and the Democrats don't really have anything to run on in 2018, Governor, if all this happens, wouldn't that be a major stimulation to get you involved in the 2018 U.S. Senate race in Virginia?
You've been a real encourager to me for a long time, and I'm very grateful for that. Look, we have just seen the American left able to run very hysterical campaigns in the South. Now, look, I think that Roy Moore was a flawed candidate. But you would have expected him, frankly, in a conservative state like Alabama to have won anyway, and he didn't win. And in Virginia, you saw Ed Gillespie lose by 9 points, and the 15 seats turn over in the legislature. We have got to make the case to the people of Virginia that we're trying to move the country forward, and our senators are holding us back. And that case has to be made. And if it can be made, then sure, there may be an opportunity to run for the Senate and win. And we're looking at that right now. The business community has got to decide, though, that they want to change. The people of Virginia have got to decide that they want to change. If they're satisfied with the status quo, then, we're just going to continue to drift downwards until finally everybody wakes up. And whether it's in this election cycle or not, we're just not sure. But I know this. If we run people on the Republican side with radical tones and radical programs that are unappealing to the people of Virginia, they turn off people all the way up and down the urban corridor, we're going to lose again. And that's, frankly, not good for the country because Virginia right now is not really contributing to the solution of America's problems the way we really should be doing. We always have since the founding of the Republic.
Governor, we're out of time. I want to thank you for being with us. I want to thank former Governor of Virginia, Governor
You're doing
Gilmore.
Great job, John. You're talking the truth out there. That's really needed right